Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Welcome to Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub. So now in this P3 video, I'll be focusing on two variants, that is the variant 33 and the variant 35, and these papers are of May-June 2025. So let me focus on variant 33, let me focus on variant 35, and the topics that I'm focusing on is differentiation and integration. So from both these papers of May-June 2025, I'll be focusing on differentiation and integration questions. And then I would do similar things with October-November 2025 sneak preview, variant 33, variant 35. And I'll take two variants and then I'll focus on different topics. I have already worked a lot on complex numbers. So 2025 papers, I have made 4 videos on complex numbers. Go ahead and check it out. And the next stage would be about differential equations and maybe about vectors. And then let's see whatever else I can do. So now if we look at this paper, so let me go to the favorites and let me go to this particular question, that is this one. Question number 3. It says find the exact value of this thing. So what exactly is this? This is integration and this is related to trigonometry. Now they need the exact value. 3 cos square 5x. So we know that whenever we have to integrate cos square, there is no ifs and buts. It's just one single method, that is use the double angle formula. So that is the only way of doing it. So cos square x is replaced with half 1 plus cos 2x. It's double angle. So x becomes 2x. That means if it is cos square 5x, so 5x will become 10x. The next thing, this 3 is a constant. Let me place it on the outside. This 2 is a constant. Let me place it on the outside. This is 1 plus cos 10x. 1 is integrated becoming x. Cos, the integral of cos is positive sign. The derivative of the bracket comes out and divides. So that is the first thing. Then this is the upper limit pi by 4. Pi by 4 goes over here, pi by 4 goes over here. 10 into pi by 4 is 5 over 2 pi, which is basically 2 pi plus pi over 2. So it's one complete revolution and then a 90 degrees. So we know that sine of 90 degrees is 1. Now let me place pi by 5 over here. So this is pi by 5, the lower limit. This is 10 into pi by 5, that is 2 pi. Sine of 2 pi is 0. So now over here, let me highlight it once again. Sine of this thing, that is coming out to be 1. And similarly, sine of this thing, that is coming out to be 0. And then the rest is simple basic calculation in the exact form. That is the final answer. Now this question is done. Let me move to the next one. That is this. The equation of a curve is this thing. Show that. So this is a question of differentiation and it's not integration. This is differentiation and this is implicit differentiation. So we differentiate both sides with respect to x. So differentiate xy with respect to x. We differentiate y square e minus x with respect to x. We differentiate a constant with respect to x. That comes out to be 0. This x is like u. This is like v prime. This is v. This is u prime. This is u. This is v prime. This is v. This is u prime. Whenever we differentiate y, we get dy by dx. Whenever we differentiate y, we get dy by dx. Pick this term, put it on one side. So this is x over here. This is 2ye minus x, 2ye minus x. Then everything without the dy by dx, take it to the other side. So now over here, look at the answer. It does not have e minus x. It has e power x. How is that possible? That is possible because of indices. So the special thing in this one is indices. A raised to power of negative m, 1 over a raised to power of m. E raised to power of negative x is 1 over e raised to power of x. So indices is something very, very important. Heart and soul of maths. So now over here, This thing is written as 2y over ex. Then we take LCM, ex multiplies with x, and this ex at the bottom remains, denominator. This e minus x is written like this. Again LCM, this e minus x remains as it is. Now these two will cancel out. And then what do we do is that we are left with this equals to this, and that is what the answer is. So the answer of the first part is this. This is part A. Read the question carefully, 4 marks. The next one. Find the gradients of the tangents to the curve when x is 0. When x is 0, put in the curve equation. So therefore, this thing will become 0. E raised to power of 0 is 1. So y square is 4. So y square is 4. Therefore, y is plus minus 2. So we have y is equals to negative 2. We have y equals to positive 2. When we plug in negative 2 over here, this is negative 2 square in dy by dx. This is negative 2. This is 2 into negative 2. And this was x. And over here, this is 2, this is 2, this is 2. And that is dy by dx. So when we plug in 0, this thing disappears. E raised to power of 0 is 1. So that is how this thing is done. And we are plugging in x is equals to 0. So e raised to power of 0 is 1, and then we plug in y, this is square, this is y, this is 2 into y. This comes out to be negative 3 over 2, this comes out to be half, and this is negative 3 over 2. They are asking for gradient of tangent, not the equation, just the gradient. So this thing is done. So I think these were the two questions in this particular one. And yes, the third one that will be coming up in the other video, that is about differential equation. That's not part of this video, just giving you a sneak preview. So now this is variant 35. So now we are in variant 35. Again, this is May, June 2025 and variant 35. Now, how many questions are there? I think there are 3 questions in this one. Let me double check. So yes, 1, 2, 3, yes, 3 questions are there. Let's go to the first one. The first question is, find the exact coordinates. So let me highlight the stuff. Now it says exact coordinates, that means x and y, of the stationary point. This is singular. Of the curve with the equation such and such for x is greater than 0. Remember, in the live stream, I explained that any value of x which will make it undefined, you have to write this caution. So ln only exists for positive values, therefore x should be greater than 0. If it was ln x plus 1, so we would say x plus 1 greater than 0, x is greater than negative 1. If it was ln x minus 2, we would say x minus 2 is greater than 0, x is greater than 2. So this thing always is there. This is y is equals to 3x square into ln x. So this is u. So this is u, this is u prime. This thing ln x power 4, this is v, this is v prime. And then you multiply in a certain order, that is u into v prime, v into u prime. This is u into v prime, v into u prime. And then you simplify, you get this thing, take common. So always make a habit of taking common. Now dy by dx is equals to 0, stationary point. So write it over here. We are talking about stationary points, that is dy by dx is 0. So now 3x square 4 plus 3 ln x power 4 is equals to 0. This thing equals to 0, that is reject because the range is starting from x is greater than 0. Now over here, look at these major things. Let me highlight few of them. Remember the stage ln x power 4 is minus 4 over 3. And then we make x the subject, that is e raised to power of negative 1/3. So now over here, when we plug in the original equation, because we need the coordinates. So coordinates means x, coordinates means y. We need both of them. So that is the x coordinate of the stationary point. To find the y coordinate of the stationary point, this is 3 into x cube is equals to ln x power 4. Now x is this thing, e raised to power of negative 3. So this is x, this is e raised to power of negative 3. And this thing over here, ln x power 4. So ln x power 4, that is minus 4/3. So let me change the color. So this is ln x power 4. This is replaced with minus 4/3. Rather than plugging in the value and then simplifying and things like that. So this thing is already done. Ln x power 4 is this thing. So now after simplification, e raised to power of minus 1/3 into 3, that's e raised to power of -1. Look at the working now. This 3 and 3 cancels out, -4 remains, e raised to power of -1 is 1 over e. So that is the y coordinate, that's the x coordinate, that's how this is done. The next question, that is, this one is parametric. That one was the exact form. This one is parametric. And yes, it's differentiation. Which one was the previous one? The previous one was this. That was stationary points. That was also differentiation related with product rule. So now let's come back to this. It says the parametric equation of a curve are such and such. There is x over here. This is x. This is dx by dt. I'll just show you the working. This is y. This is dy by dt. And then you join it all for dy by dx. That comes out to be this thing. Now let's have a good look. Now the concept is y in terms of t, tangent derivative is sec square. Sec square, I've written it as cos square, the reciprocal. 2 over cos of 3t, take it up, cos 3t raised to power of -1. Let's focus on this. This power comes down. And this is, hold for a second, there is 2 over here, there is -1, that is -2. This power reduces by 1. Don't forget the derivative of the bracket, which is over here, -3 sine 3t. So derivative of cos is negative, sine 3t, it becomes sine, and -3 comes out. Negative was also part and parcel of it. Then it simplifies to this. So dy by dt is at the top, dy by dt is at the top, and dx by dt, that is at the bottom, dx by dt is at the bottom. You simplify, you cancel out things, you get this answer. They were saying that the answer will come out in the form a cosec 3t. This is half cosec 3t. So what's the value of a? Half. This thing is done. Is it part A? Yes. Now the second part. It says find the equation of normal. So find the equation of normal to the curve at the point where t is pi by 12. Give your answer in the form y is equals to mx plus c, where the constants m and c are exact. That means surds, fractions, ln, in terms of e, things like that. So t is pi by 12. dy by dx, you plug it in over here. So this is t is pi by 12. You plug it in over here, pi by 12. 3 times pi by 12 is pi by 4. Sine of pi by 4 is 1 over root 2. So let me write over here, sine of pi by 4 is 1 over root 2. That is the same thing as cos of pi by 4. Yes, I can also write this thing as root 2 over 2. Choose any which one, simplify it later. So I deliberately wrote this as 1 over root 2 because it was already flipping, so root 2 comes up. Gradient of tangent is root 2 over 2. Gradient of normal is minus 1 over root 2. So gradient of normal is what we are interested in. That is minus 1 over root 2. That will be used up later. So now when t is this thing, t is pi by 12. What is the x coordinate? The x coordinate is 2 root 2. When t is this much, pi by 12, then tangent of pi by 4 is 1. Over here, this was also pi by 4, and you are getting this thing. So y is 1. X coordinate, y coordinate, gradient of normal. It's not necessary to start with y is equals to mx plus c. It is necessary to give the final answer in that form. So I personally feel much convenient in this, the slope point form. So plug in the point over here. So that is 1 over here. That is 2 root 2 over here. The gradient is over here. Now open up the bracket. When you open up the bracket, these two would cancel out. You're getting this. And now I could have left the answer in this form, but I feel better to rationalize it. So therefore, I rationalize this thing by multiplying and dividing by root 2. So let me show you the working over here. Minus 2 over root 2 multiply by root 2 multiply by root 2. That is minus 2 root 2 over 2. That is minus root 2. So this is what you are getting over here, and that is the final answer. So now this thing is done. Let me double check. There is one other question in this particular paper. There were 3 questions. So now this is a nice one. This is 2 things together. This is differentiation. This is integration. The differentiation is of tan inverse. The integration is of by parts. So now first thing first, this is like differentiation, and it's about finding the exact values. So let's highlight this. The equation of a curve is such and such. Find the exact values of x, at which the gradient of the curve is 1/4. So now this is the background knowledge that we use. Y is equals to tan inverse qx. dy by dx is 1 over 1 plus qx, the whole thing square into q. So whatever is over here, for example, this is 4x. So this 4x will go inside the whole thing square, and derivative of 4x is 4. So that is exactly the formula that I'm using. 1 over 1 plus 4x whole square. So this is 4x. This is 4x over here. This is 4x whole square into 4. That comes out to be this thing. That is the derivative. Now equate it to 1/4. So this equals to 1/4. And then 16x square is 15. X square is 15 over 16. X is square root plus minus. Don't forget. So square root of 16 is 1/4. Take it on the outside. Leave the answer in the third form. So that is exact. So now what does exact means? Let me remind you once again. Exact means fraction. Exact means in terms of pi. Exact means square root. Exact means in terms of e, in terms of ln. So that is what the word exact means for us in terms of P3. These 5 things, that is exact. So now over here, this thing is done. So let's stop this video over here. So this is differentiation. This is integration. So we discussed May, June 2025, variant 33, variant 35 questions related to this. I think there were 2 questions over here. There were 3 questions over here. Go ahead, watch it carefully, jot down, practice, and that is how you will get your A star. Stay tuned for more content on Mathematics with Shahab Yaqub.